with one of the Jews. Moses was so angry, he attacked the guard. And the guard died. When the guard died, Moses hid the body in the sand. When everyone else found out, Moses ran away to another country. He got a job watching over sheep. One day, up on a mountain, he saw a burning bush that was not consumed. God told him to take off his sandals. God told him, go to Egypt. And Moses was like, who, me? Because Moses was scared. God told Moses, throw down your shepherd's staff. See, it turned into a snake. Pick it up. Yes, pick it up. God told Moses, put your hand into your shirt. Now pull it out. Moses' hand was covered with a disease, and when he put it back in his shirt as God told him, it was gone. Then God told Moses, go and set my people free. Finally, Moses agreed to go back to Egypt. He put on his sandals and went back to Egypt as God had commanded. Moses and Aaron went before the king. They said, let God's people go. But the king just laughed. Who is this God? Why should I listen to him? Get out of here and get back to work. Then he and the slave drivers whipped the Israelites. Moses prayed to God, and he told the Israelites of God's power. But they wouldn't believe because they were too discouraged. So Moses and Aaron returned to the king. To prove God's power, Aaron threw down a stick, and it turned into a snake. The king's Egyptians threw down their sticks, and they also turned into snakes. But Aaron's snake ate their snakes. But still, the king wouldn't let God's people go. Then Moses and Aaron turned the river water into blood, and the river stank. But the king wouldn't let God's people go. Then God sent frogs, and flies, sick cows, and big, ugly blisters that really itched. Then God sent hail with lots of lightning. It even knocked down the trees. Timber. And each time Moses stopped the plagues when the king asked him to. But still, the king wouldn't let God's people go. Then God sent grasshoppers that hopped all over the place and chewed up all the crops. Then God sent a wind that blew the locusts away. Then God sent darkness. But still, the king wouldn't let God's people go. Finally, God said, there will be one more disaster. Tell the Israelites to paint their door frames with the blood of the lamb. So that night, while the Egyptians were asleep, God sent a mighty angel who killed the firstborn Egyptians. Every house in Egypt was filled with sad people. But the Israelites slept safe and sound. Finally, the king said, get out of here! I never want to see any of you again! As the Israelites left, the Egyptians gave them their gold, their fancy earrings, and their clothes. And God led them to the desert. So the Israelites left the land and went into the desert. God led them with a tall, towering cloud to keep them cool, and a tall, towering ball of fire at night to keep them warm. But when they got hungry, the Israelites grumbled against God. Then the Egyptian army chased them, and they were terrified. But Moses raised his hand over the Red Sea, and the Lord sent a strong wind that parted the waters. So the Jews walked the sea with a wall of water on each side. But the Egyptians the Egyptians. While the Israelites were in the desert, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. They were made of stone. But when the Israelites turned from God, Moses broke the 10 Commandments in half. Not like that, he dropped them. Moses continued to lead the Israelites for 40 more years, until he was 20 years old. Through the years, he faced many battles, dangerous snakes, treacherous uprisings, bad guys, hot desert days, cold desert nights, and through it all, Moses continued to serve God and lead God's people. The end.